Camera doesn't take great pictures if it's in the bag. You know, I haven't made a YouTube video in a little while, and that's not to say that I don't want to. It's not to say that I haven't had the motivation or the desire or whatever. I think it's more about the fact that I haven't been disciplined with my time and setting aside the time or scripting out the things or getting down and maybe I think a big part of it is like the direction that I want the channel to go. With that all said, doesn't mean I'm not doing photography. I haven't stopped doing photography or video work. I just haven't been actively engaged with YouTube the way that I should have. And I'd like to fix that. I'd like to make that change. And I think basically that's what I know I probably have a lot of videos that say this, that I'm gonna like make a difference and make a change. But I have way too much invested in my equipment to not be also actively doing it on YouTube. And the reason I kind of say that, my camera is super dirty right now. Like it's got mud all, well, not quite like it was, but it had mud all over it. I was down in southern Utah doing some exploring and rafting and stuff. And I didn't take all of my equipment with me. I did have my camera with me. And we crossed a river, and I didn't want to accidentally dunk the camera in the river, right? So I put it in a dry bag, and it didn't happen to be my own dry bag. It was someone else's. It was just easier. They already had theirs open, and so I tossed it in there just in the midst of crossing. And they volunteered they volunteered to carry the camera the duration of the trip, and I was like, what's the point of me bringing the camera on this little short hike if it stays in the bag? I said, a camera doesn't take great pictures if it's in the bag. And basically what I'm getting at with that little block of statement is that like all of this equipment, the equipment that I've got, it doesn't do it any good if you don't use it. They're all tools and means to an end. Your camera isn't meant to be pretty. It's not meant to sit on a shelf. It collects dust when it sits on the shelf. It's not meant to sit in your bag, or you know, you can't be afraid to take it out in order to get great photos. You have to get it. It has to sometimes get banged up a little bit. Sometimes, like if you look at my camera now from when I bought it, it has wear marks on it. It has dirt in places it probably shouldn't. But the fact is, at the end of the day, at the end of it all, the images and the videos and the story that you're able to tell through the camera and the lens is why you have the camera and the lens. Not so that the camera can look pretty, not so that you can hold its value. The value, its true value is in the images and the stories and the videos that you're able to create with your camera equipment. So that's really what this video is about, is that. So yeah, like what's the point of having all this equipment? What's the point of having the nicest gear if you're not using it? And I think like a lot of people can make their qualms about that and say, well, you don't need the nicest equipment, and that's true. But what good is any equipment if you're not using it? What good is any of the tools to this trade, to this whatever? What good is it if you're not using it? If you're not plugging your stuff in, if you're not pulling your microphones out? Yeah, sometimes it's a hassle to drag this camera, not the camera, to drag the light, or to drag out, you know, get all this extra stuff plugged in and make sure your audio is great and stuff. But that's what really helps to make the story. You're doing what you can to make the story be told better, right? And that's the point, is like having good audio, having good lighting, having good sound, whatever. Like, the whole point is to tell a story. The whole point is to create great images and videos and to tell a story. And like, you cannot do that if that equipment is still sitting in the bag, or if you're hesitant to pull it out because you're afraid it's gonna get dusty or dirty or wet or whatever. Some of my best images, some of my best stories I feel like have been on rainy days. I'm not able to get good ski images if I don't pull the camera out in the snow. I'm not able to get climbing photos if the camera's not hanging on my neck as I'm like hanging on off the edge of a cliff. I'm not able to get those things if you're not putting your camera through the ringer, basically. So take your stuff out, make sure it's insured. Don't be afraid to get a little bit dirty. Don't be afraid to get your camera in places that are gonna tell better stories. I'm making more videos. Like and subscribe if you haven't.